think about your videotape?
I've done this before. I don't change what I'm doing.
And you should.
And then, well, not maybe, but maybe not. Probably I should have this time, and I probably should have done it when Kay came.
Mm.
I didn't change what I was doing because I was off. I didn't want to just stop,
Yeah.
and I should have changed. I should have changed when you were here because this was not a regular day for me
Sure.
at all. And so as I watch this, I'm like, oh, none. You know, so there was a lot of things that I would love to have evaluated myself on, and they were not on here to be evaluated.
Okay. Well, we can do another video. I mean, I can come in video any day you want.
There was no interaction with the kids because they were watching me. Now, I was keeping them engaged, you know, but there was no interaction.
Well, now I don't know that I would agree with that totally. When you were in the library, you gave them feedback, you gave them examples and models.
Yes, but real slight. I definitely want to use it. It's fine to use it.
And it doesn't go anywhere but you. You are the only one.
Oh, no, I know.
Okay.
Right. When I thought about my goal of working on engagement and academic language, I heard some academic language, but we weren't using it, and there wasn't a lot of engagement with the kids interacting with each other, so that's fine. But however, I think let's use it, and then...
Okay. Did you see anything on there? I know you expressed engagement in academic language, and we can stick with that focus. But was there anything that you saw that you thought, oh, I really want to work on that?
I have two things.
Okay.
Where it says my praise to correction ratio is at least a 5 to 1. It wasn't at all. I mostly just corrected throughout the video. And so yesterday and today I tried to do better.
So what do you think about the kids? Tell me a couple of good things that you noticed.
Well, a lot of them were reading with us and following along. And I think they like this book of Mice and Men, more so than anything that we've done so far. So they seem a little bit more attentive on that part. I was concerned about they're very disrespectful. Although I'm not surprised, but then when you see it in the video, you're like, man, that is worse than I thought it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And especially to each other, and when they're reading, and then I'll just start reading, and you know, like, who cares what all they, what they do. So like at first I'm like, and then after I watch, I'm, oh no, this is terrible, so I mark down here.
Okay.
And this group, it's hard to, my 7th hour that same day, I had that, it was so bad, and I hadn't even watched this video, but it was so disrespectful, I was saying, guys, I cannot believe you're being this disrespectful to your own peers. I mean, to your teacher is one thing, I've seen that, but to each other, my goodness, and it was really, really bad. But I can see how later in the day, remember I was going to have them circle as we read. That worked out so much better. We're here as I watched them, I'm like, God, they look bored half out of their mind. Or if they were circling words, that might have looked better. At least kept them more attentive,
right.
During it.
Okay. And I agree. When you mentioned that, I think that maybe gave them a purpose to attend.
Right.
So maybe we could think about some ways that some strategies for your sophomores to get the reading done and still be engaged and get some high-level thinking and high-level question or discussion going on.
Okay.
Because it sounds like what you're saying to me is that was kind of the biggest need that you saw.
Right, that I don't feel like we get into any high-level discussions. I feel like it's reading and did we understand what happened in the book, and it's just so basic. Anybody could kind of do it. We're not hitting those higher-level thinking in the class,
Okay.
I think we are in the writing, so when they have to write, but that's where some of them are getting stuck, like, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what, maybe if we had a little time to talk about these things, it might.
Well, I wonder, the collaborative conversation strategies. What do you think about using some of them with your sophomores? Do you think that would?
We could try some.
And like with the reading that you did the other day, whether it's whole group or you know, if you do the reading whole group or you do the reading in partners, you could still do those strategies, you know, read the whole thing and then stop and do one of those strategies and then continue on with reading or read the whole thing or whatever.
Okay.
But, so as far as for focus, what it sounds like to me you're saying is to get them highly engaged and doing some critical thinking and discussing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Probably. So what are some things that something that you think you would like to see better? That perhaps would be a focus of our coaching cycle this time, or something that you need help with?
There was room for only one. Death found war down among the grass blades.
You know, I mean, this was a very front-directed class, period. You know, it was a lot of me standing up in front of them and talking at them. I think getting them all to engage in the less top-down learning.
So like using, what I'm hearing you say is when you use some, like active teaching strategies to where they're interacting with each other, engagement, do you feel like engagement drops at that point?
I feel like it does. I feel like they get off on their own tangents in a lot of cases.
Remember the old days? Warriors used to rock and out, arms and legs bouncing in all directions. Great times, eh? You need to cross and slap that thing back there. Automatically, you'll
So
tag.
maybe work toward active teaching strategies with 100% or near 100% engagement?
Yes.
I'm sure you remember the tradition of writing out.
What are some strategies that you've used that you feel like end up working very well?
Mostly when I set them up in a group or a pairs thing, they get off on their off task a lot from what I've seen.
Definitely not, you old chap. No one's home. It's on you home.
And some off-task behavior is going to
Yeah,
happen.
no matter what, but I mean, I feel like in some cases they're off task more than they're on.
Okay. Have you tried any of have you tried yet, and you haven't had very long, so, like the collaborative poster or the discussion roundtable that we talked about when we had our training day?
Not yet.
Okay. So we might try looking at using one of those and seeing how it goes. The thing with those is that there's very specific they have a purpose, they have something that they have to accomplish.
Right.
And so maybe that will help with engagement. Particularly if you first time out, maybe let them choose their groups, but then when they have the process down, then you choose groups so that you can kind of spread out. You know, because maybe if in a group with 3 people who really want to get the work done, they could entice Caleb into helping out, getting his part of the work done. And those activities, and I can bring you some more that they have the group work component, but then also an individual component that they must complete, to where if they don't, it doesn't have a huge negative impact on the group. So is that something that you'd like to work on as far as focus for your coaching, is trying to put together some and include sometimes when they can talk, trying to talk to a partner or something like that, to where there's better engagement? Alright, and then so we kind of know what it looks like now and what you want it to look like. As far as bringing some strategies, do you want something else from me other than just because I'd like to try and gather some data so that we can kind of track whether improvement has increased or not. So I mean, I can make some observations, I could even do some videotaping of their group work and then we can videotape them again and then see if that gets better. So other than making observations and maybe helping you with finding some additional tasks, is there anything else that you want some help with?
To be human was to change that realized the horsemen were horsemen. Men didn't wish to follow a certain shape.
I feel like I'm always effective in my classroom management
And we never beat humans, but they
style.
caught aspects of
I
humanity.
feel like
As though they were some kind of disease.
in some cases, I'll say something and expect it to have some sort of impact on, I don't know, some internal human quality that they presumably possess, and it just falls flat.
Okay. So like you appeal to their, what I'm hearing is like you try to appeal to their sensibilities of, hey, this is not all right, you know, but there's no change in behavior or even any
Right.
recognition that, oh yeah, maybe that isn't good, you know. Okay, so tell me about your classroom management. I mean, do you have some rules or some policies that, hey, this is okay, but this isn't, or something like that?
And in terms of actual codified rules, I don't have many. The main thing is just respect, and being respectful of each other, themselves, you know, bottom up, top down, all of the various directions respect needs to flow. And so everything proceeds from that ideal.
So maybe, so that they have an idea, because then that, it's fairly open, which is a good, not necessarily a bad thing, to have that be more open, because then many things can fall under that umbrella.
Yes.
But maybe talk with them about, you know, do you agree that we should respect each other and kind of get their buy-in that way? And then have each class brainstorm a list of what would that look like then? What are some ways that we're going to take care of making sure that that happens? And then the reverse side of that is, what are some things that are happening in our class that are not keeping with that? So that they have an explicit, this is okay, this is not okay, but they have helped create that, so maybe there's a little bit more buy-in with them. And even if you post it somewhere, or if you just want one, not one for every hour, but have it somewhere to where when this behavior is going on, go, wait a minute, remember, we agreed that this is not okay, so that behavior is not okay. These are what you came up with, these are instances you came up with, so you're not even following what you said yourself. And see if by referring back to that enough times, maybe that would help them, you know, get it ingrained that that behavior is not okay. You know, talking over each other is not okay. You know,
Right.
talking to your buddy while I'm trying to instruct is not okay. And then when it happens, say, whoa, remember we said this was not okay, so I really need you to stop that. And then maybe that would help. Because I think they're not quite ready maybe for such an open-ended, that they need some more explicit. This is okay, this isn't okay, you know, you would think by now,
By
junior,
junior,
senior
senior,
level,
yeah.
that they would have that. But, not all of them do. Some of them probably do, but not all of them do. So maybe in that way, you kind of develop a more explicit list.
Okay.
It's, you know, think about it and see if you think that might be something that works for you. I mean, you gotta do what works for your style of teaching and stuff.
Right.
But just from what you said, I think that probably for some of them, that's the issue, is that they've heard the words, but they really don't know for sure
Right.
in their head what that looks like. They haven't spent any time thinking about what that should look like. And probably they should, but they don't, they haven't, so make them.
Okay.
Essentially. So, all right. So tell me some areas you thought you would like to see some improvement.
I'm still trying to figure out my schedule.
Okay.
I have 4 kiddos reading on grade level.
Thanks.
Yeah. I have a group that's instructional at a 28, and I have 4 in that group, but over half my class goes to CAU Beaver.
Wow.
So it's just being able to have my whole group lesson quickly, but then being able to reach my very,
Yeah, because you probably have, what, 2-3 groups that you've got to
Oh,
meet
yeah.
with every day?
every single day. So it's just finding the balance of teaching them how to read and still getting that comprehension of
Yeah.
the skills that we have. I have never had this low of a group of readers. Just
Yeah.
the number. They're all kind of at the same level, but we are fairly.
So how do you handle that? Tell me how in the small group setting, how do you handle trying to get them to read the words and to comprehend?
I've been trying to teach them several strategies of just, when it comes to a page like this, we just fold it up, then we read line by line, we read it twice, read it out loud, just because when it comes to the test, they've got to be able to still get through that story. So we're kind of working on just being able to read something that's very overwhelming like that, because this year with our new curriculum, everything's just kind of a little more in-depth.
And I think that's good. I think that start noticing what is their go-to strategy at the point of difficulty. You know, what tool are they using, and then try and build from there.
Okay.
Because the tool that they're using will give you some ideas toward what's another tool that I could give them next. You know, if they're using a lot of picture support, then really work on that within the word. What do you see that might help you? Do you see a part that you know? That kind of thing. If that's the tool that they're using, then see if they're using some picture support. But if they're getting that internal inside the word help, then start moving outside the word for context clues, and that might help. The other thing I would suggest is for especially your low ones, stretch out your guided reading lesson to not just a 2-day, but a 3-day, or even a 4-day if you need to. And spend those first 2 days on word work and learning the words and what's working on strategies and all that. And then spend the next 2, now that they're familiar with the text.
That makes sense.
Work on
That's kind of what I've been going towards, and with
That's great.
library in the middle of my week, it's just kind of a hard, but if I did a 4-day, that would make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do a 3-day where we worked on comprehension, but just with library being on a Wednesday, kind of threw a wrench into my...
So on Wednesdays, are you able to meet with groups?
We usually do a whole group activity with the comprehension that it's hard because one of my low groups goes to see Amy Beaver right after. I have 2 kids that there's really, and even those kids miss out on that activity.
Gotcha.
Basically, I have 7 kids that leave me between 9:25 and 10:15. So I have a...
Well, so I think that extending the guided reading lesson out, don't be afraid to do that. And really work on the front end, getting them to be familiar with the text and be able to read the words, because then I think getting them to comprehend it once they're familiar.
That'll make a huge difference. Because that was my issue, was I've got to teach them how to read more than I've ever had that big of a group before that I've had to teach how to read. To be able to get them up to grade level.
So what do you think you might, based on what you saw in the video and what we've talked about, what do you think you'd like to have your focus be?
I think I would like to have my focus, I guess, really just kind of meeting the needs of all of my little learners, because I'm having a hard balance of reaching my high flyers in my lessons. Sometimes I feel like they're bored out of their minds because I have the majority of my class is nowhere near where they are. But then reaching my kiddos that are out of 14 and then my ESL boy. So it's just finding the balance in the materials, resources to use. I'm really struggling when it comes to Jose because I just don't, he's like a one-on-one kid, but I just don't have, I haven't figured out the schedule yet for me to be able to meet with him independently.
Gotcha. So schedule is also an issue.
Schedule's a huge
one thing,
issue.
and it is for everyone. You're not the only one, and you certainly are not the only one that is not getting to meeting with your groups on the day that you have library. So that's a common problem this year. So don't beat yourself up over it. Because it's just, with that chunk gone, you wouldn't think, oh, it's an hour a week, big deal. But it does make a big difference.
Play a factor.
So the other thing